Another Stars Unlimited Leader Spotlight. In today's video, we're going to be looking at another leader from the Stars Unlimited trading card game that came out in the second set, Shadows of the Galaxy. Today's disclaimer, which would be the same disclaimer as always, is going to be that this is not a meta-analysis. Cards talking about today's video may not be the greatest cards to play with these leaders. They're just some cool cards that we thought work well with them synergistically. Second of all, this is just an opinion. If you disagree, that's completely fine. You can click off, dislike, or even leave a comment telling me what you think. And then finally, not every card that I personally think works well with these leaders are even going to make it into today's video due to not having enough time, forgetting they exist, or thinking that they're generally too good of cards to really put into one particular leader's video. That being said, let's take a look at today's leader, which is going to be Cad Bane. Cad Bane's an interesting leader. He's a villainy cunning leader with the Underworld and Bounty Hunter traits. He says when you play an Underworld card, you may exhaust this leader, and if you do, an opponent chooses a unit they control and deals 1 damage to it. The interesting about this ability is that A, it's a very steady stream of essentially free damage. The only problem is that your opponent is the one who gets to choose where the damage goes. It does negate a lot of the powerful versatility and utility that indirect damage gives you, but at the same time, indirect damage is indirect damage, and even if your opponent can choose to put it anywhere they want, usually there's no good option for them to put it, and eventually it's going to end up the fact that they're going to have to put it somewhere that's bad for them no matter what. As an epic action, if you control 6 or more resources, you can deploy him as a leader unit, and when you do, he's a 2/8 raid 2 unit with the ability, when you play an Underworld card, you may choose an opponent, and they choose a unit and they control and deal 2 damage to it. This ability can only be used once each round. His leader unit form is pretty good. It has that 8 health, which is a little on the higher end for a leader unit. He has raid 2, so he's still swinging in for 4. And then, of course, he has his ability that's going to allow you to deal 2 damage to your opponent's units almost every turn for really no additional cost, except for fact, of course, your opponent gets to choose where it goes. Now, for the most of this video, I'm going to be focused on looking at Underworld units that have good on-play abilities and Bounty Hunter units, because those are the 2 cards he really has the most synergy with. First off, we have Criminal Muscle. It's a 1-cost unit that is a 2/1 Underworld unit that says when played, you may return a non-unique upgrade to its owner's hand. This effect is really powerful because of the fact that set 2 is going to have a lot of upgrade decks trying to make themselves work. And whether they're any good or not doesn't really matter because you're probably going to see a ton of them, and if you're playing in some sort of limited format, then this is going to be a really good effect, especially with Cad Bane, allowing yourself to throw this down, get a unit on the field, of course. Your opponent's going to have to pick up one of their upgrades, or that you're going to make your opponent pick up one of your upgrades, and you're going to deal some damage to your opponent through Cad Bane's effect. Ultimately, it just rolls really smooth. Benzene Nettle is a 2-cost 1/3 Underworld unit. It says when played, you may look at your opponent's hand and may discard one of their cards, and if you do, that player draws a card. You can also smuggle her in for 4 cunning villainy. This card is pretty good because selective discarding is the strongest form of discarding. And yeah, they can get a new card, but that new card is going to be random. The card you discard is going to be exact. You look in their hand. You can even combo this with Criminal Muscle. You use Criminal Muscle, you pick up one of their units, then you play this card down, and you look through their hand, or one of their upgrades, and then you look through their hand and discard that upgrade they just picked up. If it's it's an upgrade you really want to make sure they cannot use in the future. Another option in terms of Underworld units is 4LOM, 4 calls for 4 Underworld Droid and Bounty Hunter. He has the Ambush keyword ability. When you play this unit, it may ready and attack an enemy unit. Each friendly unit named Zuckuss gets +1/+1 and Ambush. So if you look at Zuckuss, he's a 5-cost 6/6 Saboteur. Each friendly unit named 4LOM gets +1/+1 and Saboteur. So ultimately, you want to play these 2 guys together. They're not exactly the most powerful combo in the game, but it will give him Ambush and him Saboteur, and they both have Ambush and Saboteur, and you can use them to play them down, use Cad Bane's effect with them, and they're also Bounty Hunters, which is really important for some of the other cards you might want to play with in Cad Bane's deck. You also have the Xanadu Blood, or the Xanadu Blood, or however you say it, 6-cost 4/6, raid 2, it's an Underworld vehicle fighter. When it's played, and also when you attack with it, you may return another friendly non-leader Underworld unit to its owner's head, and if you do, exhaust an enemy unit or resource. This is going to allow you to pick up a lot of Underworld units so you can play them down and have consistent flow with Cad Bane, also getting some of those cool on-play effects that you may get with the units you were probably playing in your deck. And then also it allows you to exhaust out your opponent's resources or enemy units with no real distinction in that sense. So you can exhaust out their most powerful, biggest unit. You can exhaust out resources, stopping them from making the plays you may be afraid of them making, or you're just slowing them down for the turn. Either way, it's a really cool effect, and it's going to allow you to keep your opponent at bay while keeping a steady flow of Underworld cards in your hand to use with Cad Bane's effect. Smuggler Star Freighter or Fighter is a 3-cost 2/2 Underworld vehicle transport. When you play, you gain control of another Underworld unit. If you control another Underworld unit, give an enemy unit -3 power for this phase. Also, you can smuggle it in for 4. Ultimately, this is just a synergistic card with Underworld units, and it has a cool one-play effect, so it would work great with Cad Bane. Infus Nest is a 6-cost 5/4 ambush Underworld unit that says, while a friendly unit, including this one, is attacking using ambush, the defender gets -3 power. Thing about yellow and Underworld in set 1 especially is that it had a lot of ambush in it, and yellow's still has the most ambush out of any aspect. So if you're playing yellow cards, you're probably going to have a lot of different ambush effects you can take advantage of, and so Infus Nest may be something you want to invest in. Cartel Spacers is just a generic 2-cost 2/3 Underworld. When played, you control another cunning unit, exhaust an enemy unit that costs 4 or less. Job of the Hut's a 4-cost 2/8 Underworld. When you play a trick event, each trick event you play costs 1 less. There's a bunch of different good trick events you can end up playing with Cad Bane. I'm not really going to go into them in today's video, but you can take a look at that for yourself. But ultimately, it is just an Underworld unit that has an on-play effect that says, search top 8 cards for a trick event, reveal it, and draw it. Obviously, if you want to go in for a couple different trick events, you can do that, and Jabba will then become super synergistic with Cad Bane. Pirated Starfighters, 2-cost 2/4, raid 1. When played, return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. This is going to allow you to pick up one of your units that you want to play again and get their on-play effects again. Triple Dark Raid is a 3-cost event. Search top 7 cards of your deck for a vehicle, play it. It costs 3 less, or rather, it costs 5 less, and enters play ready. Return it to its owner's hand at the end of the phase. So not only does it come back to your hand, but it also is cheaper. This is going to allow you to search out and play out your units, get their effects, and then they come back to your hand for you to play again. It works really well for Cad Bane. McClunky is similar in a sense. 1 cost, return a friendly non-leader Underworld unit to its owner's hand. If you do, deal 3 damage to a unit. It's good indirect damage, and then you can play it again for Cad Bane's effect, and it also is a trick if you're playing a Jabba the Hutt deck. Relentless Pursuit is a 3-cost, choose a friendly unit. If it captures an enemy non-leader unit that costs the same or less than it. If the friendly unit is a bounty hunter, give it a shield token. Obviously, this is a bounty hunter card, but like I said, there's a lot of good cards in the bounty hunter category that Cad Bane can use, so it'll probably be something you'll end up taking a look at anyway. Sneak Attacks is a trick 2-cost, play a unit from your hand. It costs 3 less and enters play ready. At the start of your regroup phase, defeat it. On to Aggression, there's a lot of good bounty hunter cards in Aggression for Cad Bane to use, such as Jango Fett, a 4-cost 3/6 Underworld bounty hunter unit. While attacking a unit with a bounty, this unit gets +3 and gains Overwhelm. When this unit attacks and defeats a unit, draw a card. If you end up playing Bounty Boba Fett from set 1, and the Fett's Fire Spray also from set 1, then it will work all well together. They're all Underworld units. Boba and Jango are both bounty hunters, and they're all just good cards. So you can end up playing this package inside of your Cad Bane deck if you choose to do so, and it'll work out really well for you. Kurzantan is a 5-cost 3/7 Underworld Wookiee bounty hunter. When played, if an enemy unit has a bounty, you may ready this unit. And also on attack, choose a ground unit. You may deal 1 damage to it for each damage on this unit. The Trandoshan Hunters are 5-cost 6/4 Underworld bounty hunters. Overwhelm, as well as when you play them, if an enemy unit has a bounty, give experience tokens to this unit. So again, you're gonna really want to go all in on bounty hunters if you're playing Aggression with Cad Bane. Reckless Gunners of 1-cost 2/1 Underworld. When played, deal 1 damage to each base. You can also smuggle it in for 3. Headhunting is a 2-cost tactic attack with up to 3 units, one at a time. They can attack base for these attacks. Each bounty hunter that attacks this way gets +2 power for this attack. Yield targets and bounty upgrade. It's going to allow you to deal 2 damage to a base when you collect this bounty, or if the unit this bounty is attached to is unique, deal 3 damage instead. And then you have Death Marks, the 2-cost bounty upgrade. Draw 2 cards as the bounty. The Vermin's Flamethrower is a 3-cost, 1+1+1 upgrade. Attached to a non-vehicle unit. Attached unit gains on attack. You may deal 3 damage divided as you choose among enemy ground units. Spreading out that damage means that it can be even harder for your opponent to choose where they want to put their damage when you use Cad Bane's effect. On to Vigilance, the Pike Sentinel is a 2-cost, 2/3 Underworld Sentinel. The Lom Pike himself is a 4-cost, 4/6 Underworld. On attack, you can give a shield token to an enemy unit, and if you do, give a shield token to a friendly unit. This isn't that bad when you take into account Cad Bane's ability. Although your opponent gets to choose where they put the damage from Cad Bane's ability, they're not going to choose to knock off a shield with it. A shield's worth more than 1 damage, but at the same time, it means that if you give a shield token to an enemy unit you don't want your opponent to use Cad Bane's ability on, they either have a choice to get rid of a shield token for damage, which is good, or they have a chance to they have a choice. They have to put the damage somewhere else, maybe somewhere you want them to put it. It's not exactly the most perfect thing with Cad Bane, but it does work in a sense. Imbo is a 3-cost, 3/4 Underworld Bounty Hunter. When this unit completes an attack, if the defender was defeated, heal up to 2 damage from a unit. Search Your Feelings is a 4-cost event. Search your deck for a card and draw it. Brutal Additions is a 2-cost, +1/+2 upgrade action. If an enemy unit was defeated this phase, play this upgrade from your discard pile. Having the ability to always have this upgrade at your disposal can prove pretty good for you. On to Command. There are some interesting cards in Command for Cad Bane to use for sure. The Salacious Scrub is a 1-cost, 1/3 Underworld card that says when played, heal 1 damage from your base. So you play him, heal 1 damage, you exhaust Cad Bane, your opponent has to deal damage to something. And then as an action, you can just exhaust this guy and return it to your hand and deal 1 damage to a ground unit. And you could cycle this multiple times because he's so cheap. And also because of the way Underworld works, playing cards and picking up cards and playing them again, you can get some value out of it. Afent Mon is a 5-cost, 4/6 Underworld card. On attack, choose an enemy non-leader unit that attacked your base's phase. A friendly unit in the same arena captures that unit. Capturing is a big thing for Command if you're playing a Bounty Hunter / Underworld deck, so I figured I'd put that guy in there. Maul is obviously one of the greatest cards to come out of the set. 7-cost, 7/6 Underworld Force as well. He has Ambush and Overwhelm, and also on attack you may choose another friendly Underworld unit, and if you do, all combat damage that would be dealt to Maul during this attack is dealt to the chosen unit instead. The Weak Wave Pirate Gang is a 4-cost, 3/3 Underworld Ambush. You can also smuggle it in for 5. Discerning Veteran is a 5-cost, 3/4 Bounty Hunter. When played, this unit captures an enemy non-leader ground unit. So it's a Bounty Hunter that's going to allow you to capture units. Escort Skiff's a 4-cost, 4/4 Underworld Vehicle Speeder. While you control another command unit, this unit gains Ambush. If you're wanting to go all in on Ambush, that's an option. Mercenary Company is also an ambush card, 6-cost, 5/5 Underworld Trooper, Ambush, and Overwhelm. And then onto the events, you have the Remnant Reserves, 4-cost supply. Search the top 5 cards of your deck for up to 3 units, reveal them, and draw them. Obviously, you're going to want a steady flow of your Underworld cards. If your hand has dry up on Underworld cards, you may want to invest in some cards that allow you to search out those Underworld cards. One of those cards you may be looking at is Commission. It's 1-cost. Search the top 10 cards of your deck for a Bounty Hunter item or transport card, reveal it, and draw it. Obviously, a lot of the Bounty Hunters have the Underworld keyword trait, the ones we talked about in today's video. There's a lot of transports with the Underworld trait, and there might be some items you may want to end up playing in your deck. Ultimately, you're playing for that Bounty Hunter transport abilities there, or keywords there. Timely Intervention is a 1-cost. Play a unit from your hand, give an Ambush. Ambush can be something you really want to go into. It doesn't have to be. It's not exactly super synergistic, but it's something you want to take a look at. You play it, use Cad Bane's ability, and then you get to swing in. The thing about it is that the way I'm pretty sure it works is that because of them both triggering essentially at the same time on that same when played trigger, you can choose to activate Cad Bane's ability, then the ambush, resolve ambush, which means your opponent has to deal damage, and then you can actually swing into whatever they deal damage into, if that makes your decisions a little bit easier. Take captures a 3 cost. A friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader unit in the same arena. And then there are some bounties. If you don't know when you capture a unit, you get to collect its bounty. So if you're going for a capture strategy, bounties is something you probably want to end up investing in. Price on your head is a 2 cost. Its bounty is put the top card of your deck into play as a resource. Bounty's Hunter's Quarry is a 1 cost bounty. Search the top 5 cards of your deck, or 10 instead if this unit is unique, the unit that this card is attached to. If a unit that costs 3 or less, for a unit that costs 3 or less, and play it for free. And then Legal Authority is a 2 cost, +0/+2 upgrade attached to a friendly unit. When played, attached unit captures an enemy non-leader unit with less power than it. Onto just a pure villainy card, you may want to end up playing with Cad Bane. You have Ruthless Assassin is going to be a 2 cost, 3/3 Underworld Bounty Hunter. Overwhelm, good stats, good ability, but obviously when you play him, you have to deal 2 damage to a friendly unit. Toro Calican is a 3 cost, 3/5 up Bounty Hunter. When you play another Bounty Hunter unit, you may deal 1 damage to it, and if you do, ready this unit. This ability can only be used once each round. Altering the Deal is a really cool one. It's a trick if you're playing Jabba, but also it's really helpful if you're playing a capture deck. 1 cost, discard a captured card guarded by a friendly unit. Bounty Guild Initiate is a 1 cost, 1/2 Bounty Hunter. When played, if you control another Bounty Hunter unit, deal 2 damage to a ground unit. And then Lady Proxima is a 1 cost, 0 Underworld, 4 HP. When you play another Underworld card, you may deal 1 damage to a base. And then finally, we have the Street Gang Recruiter. It's a 5 cost, 4/4 Underworld. When played, you can return an Underworld card from your discard pile to your hand to play again and work well with Cad Bane. And that's Cad Bane. What do I think about Cad Bane? I think he's a really good leader, as far as I can tell. I'm not exactly the greatest competitive player of all time, but he allows you to get free damage, essentially. The only cost is the fact that your opponent chooses where it goes, but it sells to be one of their own units. And the fact that you have to play an Underworld card. It's not really asking much of you at all to get essentially what is essentially free damage on your opponent's units. And of course, they can make it hard for you. They can make it, if they know you want to get a certain unit off the field, they're not going to put their damage there. But it doesn't really matter, because free damage is free damage. If you're going in with Overwhelm, doesn't matter where they put their damage. You swing in and you deal extra damage to their base. If it just really doesn't matter that much in terms of if it's good for you or not. There's very few places they can put their damage that will end up being bad for you. And if they're playing a grit deck, then maybe, just maybe, it might not be beneficial for you all the time. But even in those situations, getting your opponent's grit units that much closer to death is still a benefit rather than a pure negative. So that's me for today's video. Hope you guys come back for more Star Wars Unlimited Leader Spotlights. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a like, leave a comment saying you enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button, because I don't plan on stopping these Star Wars Unlimited Leader Spotlights anytime soon. Well, that's going to be all for now, but if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys go ahead and watch some of our other videos that we've made on this channel. Also, give this video a like if you thoroughly enjoyed it. And of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our future content. And I hope to see you guys back at the Roost.